Hey, good morning. It's Pastor Joy. And this is a video for parents in the Family Faith Formation class. It's to tell you a little bit about my philosophy of why we do family faith formation the way we do. This is not organized. I'm speaking extemporaneously. And a lot of the ideas I am going to be briefly chatting about are from this book by Dru Johnson called Human Rites. And that's RITES, that has to do with sort of the script we follow in our life. So as we begin, I want you to think about the rite or the ritual that you follow every morning when you wake up. Aside from going to the bathroom, like what are the things that you do? Okay, do you make coffee? Do you look at your phone? Do you sit for a quiet time? Do you go for a run? So what is your rite? What is your ritual every morning? Dru Johnson is an Old Testament professor who used to teach at King's College in New York City, and now he's on a one-year appointment at Hope College in Michigan. And I've had the privilege of meeting him. He is a host for the Biblical Mind podcast and a co-host for the On Script podcast. Those are both sort of academic biblical studies theology podcasts where they interview different people who've written, and I'm sure, many books about different themes. Some of my favorite podcasts. Anyway, it was something Dru said several years ago that really kind of put into my mind to lead family faith formation. And this is it. In the Old Testament, when God is guiding his people to observe certain holidays, do certain things, it is deeply embodied action, right? It's not like, well, first of all, sit in a circle and then just say what I've done in the past, right? It's build a hut, build a sukkot, build a shelter, and then go live in it for a few days outside your house so you can remember how it was when you dwelt in tents when you were in the wilderness, right? When they celebrate the Passover, right? It's get a lamb, roast the lamb, have no leaven. Remember how it was when the slaves had to hurry out of Egypt so that God could free them. The things that God invites us into in the Old Testament and in the New Testament are deeply embodied practices. They're rituals, they're rites. And this actually forms how we know. One of Dru's specialties is the field of epistemology, which is the philosophical question, what does it mean to know? How do we know things, right? And do we just know because we think it? I think, and I've been informed by Dru Johnson and others on this, we know things because we experience them with a deeply trusted community. We learn from others, and then we trust, right? How do I know that it's safe to drive for the most part, right? I have to trust other drivers. I have to trust the rules of the road. How do we know? How do we learn? Another question might be like, think about cooking. How do you learn how to cook? Is it just by reading a whole closet of cookbooks? I've done that. I have a closet of cookbooks. Is it from watching the Food Channel? How do we learn, right? You learn how to cook by cooking. How do we learn how to study the Bible? Just by watching people talk about the Bible on a video? No. We learn how to study the Bible by studying the Bible, by doing the work physically involved. This is one reason we have family faith formation. We don't just sit around and teach. We do activities to help form us. And this is one of the great gifts of the Christian year, is that by living into some of these practices, whether it's fasting or feasting, or I kind of like change my decorations in my house a little bit, depending on the Christian season, right? We move into it and live into it. We perform rituals in community, whether that's church community, when we take communion, when we gather and pray, or family community, based on how we have a ritual for each day. What's the ritual like when your kids come home from school? That forms us. And as we participate in these rituals, we become who we are because of who we're listening to. That's a key theme in this book, Human Rites. So I just wanted to briefly mention this book, recommend it to you parents to read both for your own faith formation and that of your family. Really helpful book, thoughtful and accessible. I hope you read it and it helps you engage in a different way in our family faith formation. I'm thankful for you. God bless you. Bye-bye.